What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Let's just go ahead on and dive right into it. Whew. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. And I wanted to talk about it, but I didn't think that it was going to be talked about in this way. But let's just dive right into it, shall we? Whew. Luther Vandross documentary aired New Year's Day, January 1. Okay. It aired, and I was one of the ones who was just sitting back waiting for it to air. When I saw the commercial, I was like, I know what I am going to be doing New Year's Day. And the documentary was one of the highlights of that day for me. And well, for those of you who watched it, I think one of the most controversial, probably problematic parts of the documentary was when, let's just put it this way, the way the documentary was produced, okay, and I'm going to say allegedly. You guys making me tired out there. So I'm gonna say allegedly. Just because, this here is obviously a touchy uh uh situation, if you will, thing in the Luther Vandross's camp. And so when the producers decided, whomever they were, decided to edit the documentary, they eventually got around to discussing the taboo subject in Luther Vandross's life, and that is, was he or wasn't he a gay male? And towards the middle, I'm going to assume, or maybe the last part of the documentary, they began to talk about it, and they did it in such a way that I felt like overall was tacky. I just felt like overall it was tacky. Okay. Now, let's talk about a couple of things because, for me, I always like to look at things, like on each side. I really do. That's how I like to do it. I don't know if anyone else has made thought about it the way that I thought I'm thinking about it. I don't watch, others' commentaries, so I don't know. But I do know that I've seen at least three stories come down my news feed, and I was like, okay, let me finally get around to talking about it. Let's talk about this documentary. Number one, it appears to me, watching this documentary, whoever was in charge of it probably liked Luther Vandross as a person. Okay, that's number one. It appears to me that everybody that was in this documentary loved Luther Vandross. Do you see where I'm going? And I must say, I'm always taken aback when I look at how some of my favorite entertainers and singer-songwriters and producers, how they navigated through the business in order to get to, from the beginning up to, when they finally get the record contracts or whatever the case may be, like the grind of it, right? The beginning part of it. And I was surprised to know that Luther Vandross started out, being a part of some of the things that were a highlight of my youth, like Sesame Street and The Wiz. Just him being there, alone and writing. And I like the song "Everybody Rejoice." I mean, that was one of the best songs in The Wiz. And so to see that he's a part of that, and to see how he's so well respected, that definitely, as the word says, a man gives will make room for him and set him in the presence of great people. And so to see him and see how he navigates through that, and it appears to be that he's well respected. He's so well respected by his peers in the business and by those around him, that when it was time for him to go in and record his debut album, never too much. According to, reports, he called people up and said, hey, I need a favor. Can you come in and record? So basically, let's just say the demo, if you will, people did it for free. That says a lot, okay, about the caliber of talent this man has and the caliber of people that's around him to do something like that for him. Do you understand what I'm saying? So none of us should be taken aback about how he's protected within that circle, if you understand where I'm going with this, okay? So it seems to be that people in his camp obviously were aware or are aware of the rumors about Luther's sexuality. It's obvious that the people in his camp made up in their minds from let's say from the very beginning, if he ain't saying anything, we're not going to say anything, right? That's how it appears to be. But that doesn't mean that he never confided in anyone about some of the things that were going on in his life. And it very well could have been that one day he decided that, you know what, I probably am going to talk, that he probably talked to Patti LaBelle about it. And Patti LaBelle has information about how Luther Vandross really felt about, let's just say, his sexuality. Was that something that Patti LaBelle should have made a comment about at all? Well, you have to realize in the statement, no matter how the production edited it, right? At the end of the day, Patti LaBelle still handled Luther Vandross with class. I think so. Because while she's saying in a roundabout sort of way that he is, or he was, that at the end of the day, she's saying also too that he did not want to disappoint anyone and that he did not, he didn't know how that would handle, how that would impact his career as well. Now, come on. Are we really going to sit back here and not think that this would not have an impact on Luther Vandross's career? Yeah, I know a lot of people go around and say, oh, well, what you do is none of my business, this, that, and the other. If it was me, I'd be blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't care about what other people think, but that's just a bunch of hogwash because we already know how people say one thing and then they do another. People are not really sincere about those kinds of comments when they make those kinds of comments. You understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, oh, he said it, but now you whispering behind his back. You understand what I'm saying? Or you're not invited to the Christmas party. I need to quit. But you get what I'm saying. So I just don't think that she did anything out of spite. Okay? I don't. So at the end of the day, I don't think that Patti LaBelle should feel hurt by it. But here's the thing. To me, it's more like the way it was set up. Oh, well, yeah, I can't believe that people who call themselves Luther's friend, a friend of Luther's, would make such a comment about that. Like these are close friends of his, and how can close friends of his even say something like this about him? Like, yeah, we're mad at people who call themselves friends and then say this about him. But you're just as guilty when you think it, but you don't say it. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're just as guilty. She said it. You're not saying it. Like, and then coming from listening to Luther's response to it when it was being discussed, maybe I wouldn't have talked about it either, because you already see how Luther Vandross felt about it. Obviously, there were two things for sure, according to the documentary and the way it was edited and all of that stuff. There were two things Luther Vandross did not want to talk about. Okay, and he was very adamant: his weight, his love for food, and his sexuality. And maybe three, finding his soulmate, if you will. Let's just say three. Those three things. So I personally feel like it was tacky on everybody's part. I do. And the reason why I say this, because here I am, I'm watching the documentary. And for those of you who are fans of Luther Vandross, this is the reason why I am going to say it this way. I've said it this way in the beginning, because I want people to understand that, again, the people in this documentary did not say any bad thing about, did not say a bad thing about Luther Vandross. The documentary purposely stayed away, it appears, they purposely stayed away from any types of back and forth he had with any other artists in the industry. It's been publicly documented that he had issues with Aretha Franklin. It's publicly documented that he had issues with Anita Baker. It is publicly documented that he had issues with Freddie Jackson. It is publicly documented that he had issues with En Vogue. It's documented. Regardless of who's right and who's wrong in the gist of it all, you understand what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure there was a lot of back and forth, about it. So again, it's been documented that there were issues. Does that mean that he did not have great moments with others? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is that they stayed away from the bad and the ugly. Maybe, they talked about that car incident that happened that, took the life of, I think it was an artist that he was developing, or protege. He is a young protege. But they talked about that. But they stayed away from all the other things. And if that's how they wanted to approach it, fine. That should not even be an issue. It's not an issue at all. But I think that to point the finger at Patti LaBelle, and even though I understand some people say, oh, well, no, you like her because she's your favorite artist. She's an R&B diva. You like her, this, that, and the other. No, I'm being objective. Maybe she should have just said, you know what, hey, Luther never discussed that, and so for that reason alone, or I knew how he felt about it in the public, so on and so forth. I would just like to respectfully not comment on that. I also would like to think that Patti is smart enough to realize too that if Luther confided in her at all about it, that maybe he probably was like, well, I don't want, again, keep this a secret. Obviously, there's a lot of people close to Luther Vandross who obviously knows some things. You see what I'm saying? So I just think overall it's just tacky, that part, and the way it looked, or the way it was edited. I was more taken back, not about the fact that Patti said it. I was taken aback, like, wait a minute, you guys are now saying y'all mad at her? Oh, she's a friend. She's supposed to be a friend of his. And how dare you say this about him if you're supposed to be a friend of his and this, that, and the third? Right? So I have news. Oh, see. Oh, see, that's why I never thought about this way. I got one that's going to knock everybody out. So you mean to tell me you are a friend of Luther Vandross and Luther Vandross could not be himself around you? That says a lot there. I can end the document. I can end my commentary now. You loved him so much. You loved him so much. Do you know any of his lovers? You see what I'm saying? Do you? And I'm talking about the people who are mad at Patti LaBelle. Like, you know, was he able to be himself around you? Did you tell him really how much you loved him and supported him when it came to that? Like, man, I don't care if he is or if he isn't. I love you all the same. I think that you're a very talented so-and-so, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, and you have my support. We obviously, you did, because you showed up to, you know, when he was getting things done, you know, like in the business, everybody had this camaraderie, you know, so you all supported each other in that, with your careers. Or was it just a career thing? Was it like, oh, okay, well, this is our career. You know what? Let me just sit around here and mix and mingle. Let's be among the crowd, so to speak, so that we can seize any opportunities that become available. And we really don't care about the other when it comes to the personal lives. You see what I'm saying? We're all out here, you know, struggling because we believe that it's going to eventually pay off. So then everybody's guilty. Everybody's guilty. If at this moment in time, you're still speaking about it in such a way like, ooh, I don't know. So you just going to continue to be like that the whole entire time, even after this man is gone. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I remember Whitney Houston one time. Ooh, this has been some years ago. I think it was Whitney Houston who was talking about Luther. And I don't know if they were at an award show or if they were at a party or a gathering or whatever. And I think she made the comment about Luther saying, as it related to his weight, somehow or another, I think he saw this guy and he said, oh man, I wish I looked like him, you know, like, I guess physique wise, I wish I looked like him. And Whitney is saying to him, well, don't worry about that. You might not look like him, but but he can't sing like you. Something like that. If I'm not mistaken, it's out there. That clip somewhere, I'm sure, is out there. That's been years and years ago. But she made that comment about that. Yeah. And so why did the reason why I bring that comment up? I brought that comment up to let you guys know at the end of the day, you know, can he be himself around the people whom, you know, he loved, or and around the people who say they love him? Like, is this what you guys are really going back and forth about Luther Vandross and how he felt about, well, at this moment in time, let's not say how he felt about his sexuality, how he felt about people bringing that up. To me, you probably did not talk about it because you already knew how he felt. From a person who wins the Grammy, Luther Vandross, in the documentary, it says he wins the Grammy, and all that day he told his camp, you guys call me Grammy Award winning Luther Vandross or something like that. So if that entire day he wins the Grammy, and I mean that entire day he's telling you his camp to call him Grammy Award winning Luther Vandross, then you better believe my common sense kicks in and says, oh, well, we just know not to bring that up, because if he's cussing out the if he's cussing out, oh gosh, the reporters, there's no telling what he's gonna say to the people in his camp. Like you can walk away from the microphone at any time you get ready to, and you can go sing back up behind somebody. I'm sure he would have told some of you guys, you're dismissed too. Do you understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it appears to me that all of you guys got caught up in this trap about your best friend. Your best friend. Your best friend that you guys say that y'all love and y'all support it and so on and so forth. Your best friend. So at the end of the day, what I would say to the people in the documentary and to Patti LaBelle, like, come on. If y'all really love Luther Vandross, the best thing y'all can do is just uphold his legacy. And I would like to think at some point in time, I don't know, maybe among all of you guys, if you considered yourselves a best friend in that issue, we're talking about the issue now, that subject came up as a best friend, I would like to think somebody in the camp asked him about that. Luther, they're saying this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. All I'm saying is, I'm a friend. I am a friend. I love you. I support you no matter what anyone says, so on and so forth. You understand? I don't know. It's just what it is. It is what it is. We'll try y'all to made me tired. But anyway, on that note, if you made it this far, I want to personally say thank you. Secondly, my motto is simple over here. Put your behind where your heart desires to be. And whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. I look forward to seeing you next video. And until then, you know what to do. Take care of yourself. Hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button, all that. Wherever you're seeing this on whatever social media platform, okay? Thumbs up, like, share, all of that stuff. Appreciate it. All right. Take care of yourselves.